Hi everyone, and welcome back to the videos and welcome back to the channel. I've been away for a little while because things have been a tad busy, starting in my new job, etc. But I'm back and I'm here to bring you some more videos looking at helping you with your studies as a physiotherapy student, but also progressing on into those band 5, 6 roles as my roles progress as well. So today's video is all about preparing to be a band 5, what to expect, what it's like, and some of the things I think you can do to help yourself as band 5. So without further ado, let's roll the video. Okay, so band 5. So if you're watching this, the chances are you will be coming towards the end of your physio degree, or you might be at the beginning and just wondering what it's going to be like to be a band 5. You may well have had your interview, you may well have been successful and have your job all lined up and ready to go. And if that's you, well, you're probably super excited, but there's probably a tad bit of you that's slightly apprehensive about what's to come. So I thought this video, I'll put together some of my experiences, as I have done with all the other videos, on what it's been like for me in the last 6 months as a band 5, starting in a new role with a new team as a physiotherapist, as a qualified, chartered, registered physiotherapist, which is really exciting. And my first top tip is be excited. You've worked so hard to get to where you are. Take some time to stop and think about all that work you've done and look at your HCPC registration, your chartership with the CSP, and just think, I've made it, I've got to this point, pat on the back, okay, ready to go. So you'll be starting potentially in the NHS, band 5, and it may well be a trust that you've worked at in a placement, but like myself, it may not be. So it's going to be really new. And just like any job, when you start, there are certain things which are going to just be inevitable. No matter how great the team are, no matter how great the organisation is, there are things that are going to sort of happen that I think if I just talk to you about, maybe will make it so it's not such a shock when you get there. So first of all, your first few weeks, prepare to feel well out of your depth, overwhelmed, and not always in a great place. Now, I know that sounds really negative. However, I just think it's really important, because if you go there expecting that to happen, it may not, but if it does, likely thing it's going to sometimes, it won't be such a shock. Now, there's reasons for that. It doesn't mean that the organisation's bad or the team's bad. It's just a change, it's new. But on top of all that change and all that new area and new job, you've got that added responsibility to yourself, thinking you're a physiotherapist. It's now, you need to know everything, you need to be able to do everything. And no matter how many times people will tell you, as a band 5, you do not need to know everything. In fact, they are expecting you to know potentially not a lot. You're still going to have that expectations. And if you're watching this video and the videos I've done previously, it's probably because you're quite an inquisitive physiotherapy student and you want to succeed and you want to be good at the job, most likely for your patients. So that's great. And I would never ask someone to lose that attitude. But your first few weeks are going to be hard. There'll be potentially new systems, there'll be new staff, you'll have training that you need to get on, systems that you need to find out what you need to know, etc. We'll talk about that in a minute. You'll have wards that you need to get your head around, patients that you need to get around. You might be on a ward on your own quite soon, and that can be seen really daunting. So that's just part and parcel of your entrance into band 5 world. Just try not to let it get to you too much. In the first 2 weeks of my band 5, I felt awful at times. I felt like I just knew nothing, and I really struggled actually, because I wasn't expecting to think or feel like that. So I think if I'd known that I was going to feel like that, I wouldn't have been thinking, oh my goodness, why am I thinking this? Because you guys hopefully are going to see this and go, oh, well, actually, James had that same experience. Maybe this is just normal. I can chill a bit. So waffling on a little bit there, expect to feel a little bit out of your depth and overwhelmed in the first few weeks of a band 5 role. Hopefully your team are lovely and they'll be really welcoming and they'll give you lots of tips and advice. But my next tip is you do be prepared to ask for advice and help and support. You'll be walking into a team that's not prepared for you like they would necessarily on a placement. On a placement, you have your educator, you have someone who's there specifically to kind of guide you and support you. You may have that as a band 5, but you're also walking into a team that's working and that's that week, they'll be doing their job. So it's always great to just kind of think, okay, it's not necessarily all going to be handed to me. I need to think about what am I struggling with? What do I not really know about? What am I seeing other people doing or systems that they're logging onto that I need to log into? And go and ask, I need to get onto such and such system to look at x-rays. Can you let me know how I go about that? And someone will know. It doesn't have to be your line manager or your team lead or a band 6. It can be one of your fellow band 5s. The other one, I really would stress this, is talk to your assistants, your band 2s, your band 3s and your band 4s, because they will likely have been there for a long time and will have a huge amount of experience. And they'll love giving you advice on to how to help you kind of find things out and get up to speed. The band 2s and 3s, particularly on my first few weeks, were fantastic. They really made me feel welcome and at ease. And they showed me some of the more nitty-gritty practical day-to-day systems and things like that. Your band 5s, obviously, some of them may have only been qualified for 6 months as well. So they will be really happy to help you because they'll be quite fresh from knowing what it's like to be a new band 5. So ask them. Don't be afraid to talk to your team lead or your line manager and say you're struggling. You're finding this, that or the other hard. But think back to placement. In your 3rd year of placement, hopefully you got to the point whereby if you were struggling with something, you didn't just go and say help. You would go and say, I've been struggling with this. I've looked at this, this and this, and I thought about this. What do you think? That's that proactive nature which we as physiotherapy students have built up over 3 years. Make sure you take that into your band 5 role. Make sure you're proactive in trying to find out things for yourself. Even if you don't manage to get it quite, as much as you need to, you still have to ask, but at least you've shown initiative to go out and try and find for yourself or talk to other members of staff before going to your team lead. But at the end of the day, they are there to support you, and your team should be set up to support you as a newly qualified band 5. Ultimately, that's part of the organisation's responsibility, is to induct you and to train you and to support you. So don't feel like a burden or that you're taking people's time up unnecessarily. It is part of the team's role, and I'm talking band 2 to band 7 and above and team leads. It is everyone's role to support each other in providing the best care for the patients that you're dealing with. And that means looking after each other. So make sure that that's reciprocated. In a few months' time, you'll forget how you're feeling and you'll be thinking, wow, this is great. I'm really enjoying it. And you may get a new band 5 or a band 2 or band 3 or band 4 start with the organisation. Make sure you're the one to go and say hi, welcome them to the organisation, and think of a couple of things that you struggle to find and help them with that too. I've had a few newer band 5s who are actually in my year start, and I was able to, because I'd been there a few more months, I was able to say, oh, this is the email to get your login for the x-ray, the imaging, or this is your login to get onto this platform. Because it took me a little while to find it, I could kind of speed up things for them and help them find things easily. So make sure that everything you get from other people, you're early on in your band 5 role, make sure you then try and give that back when new people come into the organisation. Enjoy every minute of that day. So this is another thing that I started as a band 5 6 months ago with the motto of I will enjoy every day at work. And so far I have enjoyed every single day at work. And that's because I've tried to really not put too much pressure on myself and just do the best I can. If I finish every day of work knowing that I tried my hardest and I did the best I could, then actually you relax a little bit more. And I had a band 6 working with me for a little while at one point, who was working on the COVID team, and they were spending a bit of time on my ward. And one of the things they said is, it's not how many patients you see. Never be caught up with trying to see a certain number of patients. Just make sure you see those patients you do see them well. And I'd love to just, even if you're not working in healthcare of the older person as your first rotation, please go back, and I'll put a link in a minute, to the interview I did with Beth Sykes from Generation AHP, because she really talked about how it's important to make that contact. We've heard every contact count, but use your skills as a physiotherapist for that patient, and don't be stressed as a new band 5 to think that you need to get through a caseload or get to see every patient. Your prioritization skills will come in here, and you need to think about prioritizing. That's a real skill. Forget all of your range of movement, manual muscle testing and diagnosis, treatments, etc. Actually, your prioritization skills, especially if you're on the wards, is crucial to hone in quite quickly. So have a think about how you were doing that on placement, maybe a couple of reflections on what worked well for you in prioritization, because that means you can prioritize the patients who really need you as a band 5 qualified physio, and you can give them your time. I won't go into any more of that because Beth's interview is fantastic at just talking through that, and she talks into more detail and obviously from far greater experience than I can give you. But ultimately, doing that will mean you do the job properly, you do the job well, and you therefore will enjoy the job more. Next tip is to get to know everyone. Try not to keep yourself in a bubble. Try and get out to know all the wards, have a chat to all the MDT, get to know the consultants, the doctors, the ward clerks, the discharge coordinators, the cleaners, the kitchen staff. The kitchen staff will definitely be your friend if they let you go and make yourself a cup of tea or coffee. And then also all the nurses or the HCAs. There'll be student nurses on the ward. Go and say hi to them, tell them you've just qualified. There'll be an empathy there straight away because you're kind of one of the same thing. You're both of that newly qualified, still learning, all those sorts of things. So make sure you just get to know everyone. And if you see another member of staff on the ward with you from speech and language or dietetics, it could be a physician associate. So I've worked really closely with actually some of those, and they're great to work with, especially if they're newly qualified as well. Your newly qualified year 1 doctors are brilliant because actually you can start getting them to know a bit more about what physiotherapy do, because you will find some doctors, newly qualified, don't know actually what physios do specifically. They'll have a general idea, just as we'll have a general idea as what they do. But if you get to work with some of these people and talk to them and open up some dialogue, you'll get to know them as a person, which means you can have a greater working relationship. But you'll also get to know about their job, what they do, which then means when you're with patients, you can think in the back of your mind, actually, that person in that role is better placed to deal with this patient for this particular presentation or this thing. So it gives you the ability to give your patients far more. So get to know everyone, be chatty, be talky if that's a word, but really get yourself out there. Try and be confident and put yourself out amongst the ward, amongst the teams, other teams, experience things. If you see something you think, oh, what's going on there, talk to and you'd like to go and maybe observe it, spend some time, talk to your team lead, say you've got a real interest in such and such, you've seen it on your ward, but remember, think, why will them allowing you to do that help you deal with patients? So think about it, what is it going to do for you to be better at supporting your patients? And that'll be quite a good thing to practice, because as you go through your career, and you want the trust that you're working with to support you, maybe financially or just time-wise, to do courses and CPD, a lot of the time you'll need to be justifying, isn't necessarily the right word, but sort of is justifying why that is going to benefit the trust in the patients ultimately. Remember, patients are the centre of this. So is your time doing that going to help you be better at your job with your patients? Couple of other tips as well. Make the most of your place, the rotation you're on. So you may not start your perfect rotation. It might be a rotation that you kind of dread, or you sort of get that, oh, great. Hopefully not. Hopefully, as a keen, enthusiastic physio student, you're thinking everything is going to be exciting, because it is. And that's important. Every rotation you do is going to teach you skills that you will be able to use and utilize everywhere in your career. No matter what that rotation may be, it will be useful. But it won't be useful if you put blinkers on and don't use it to the best of its ability, i.e. absorbing it all and being enthusiastic. If you want to go down purely a neuro route, and you find yourself working in medical rehab on healthcare of the older person, that is brilliant, because you are going to have complex patients with a variety of presentations and comorbidities, including neurological. Same goes if you want to be a respiratory physio and you find yourself on that rotation. And reverse that, respiratory neuro, you're going to have older adults to work with. You're going to have younger, you're going to have everything on every rotation. It may not be the rotation you think you want, but if you keep your mind open to it, you'll be able to get a lot more from it rather than closing down on it. So I think that's pretty much it. I'm going to keep this video short, amazing. If you've watched any of my other videos, I struggle with that, probably because I've talked a lot quicker on this one. So if you've got anything else you want to know about, please do drop me a message, drop me a comment in the link below, or any of my social media on Instagram or Facebook, etc. Tell me what you want to know, because I want to do more of these videos. I want to keep this channel up to date and I want to keep going with it. I'm also going to start doing some more physio stuff, more related to running and endurance sport as well. So head over to other playlists for some of those things. I'll start bringing out some of those soon. Going to get back on a roll with these, but I need you to tell me what you want me to cover as a physio student. You know what you need more than I know what you need. So hopefully that's helped a little bit. Being a band 5 is incredible. The first little bit is sometimes a bit hard, but persevere, stay positive, and you'll get through it, and you'll be where I am, and you'll be loving every single second. You'll be looking forward to going to work every single day. So just persevere. All right, any questions, let me know. But other than that, I shall speak to you all soon. Take care, everyone.